Sonny, Joey, 500. Got some goats in the building.
Get ready for a shakedown.
Prepare for a shakedown. We from Philly where they clap like huddles when they break down. Get ready for a shakedown. We underdogs, my guy. Kinda used to all the hate now. Prepare for it, man. Y'all get it. My QB got swag. My wideout is award winning. This fly was fly. Joey and 500. Like and subscribe. Yeah. Here's a quote you can sing back. Shake squad up and don't be a dingbat. It's a shakedown.
Don't you frown. Here comes the shakedown.
Let's go.
Yo, by the way, Dingbat here, and welcome to another Philly Shakedown podcast with Philly 501 Joey Shakes. Joey, what is happening, man?
Nothing. I'm just, if you guys think I'm talking weird right now, it's because my headset wasn't working, so I'm using my phone right now. So little technical difficulties, but we are less than a week away. I mean, we're a few days away, dude. We're already here. I can't believe it's already here. The waiting is, only a little bit more waiting left, and we get to find out the answers of how he's going to do in this draft. So I'm really pumped that it's here this week. Thank God. So
yep. Daz, what's going on, buddy? He says, "Go Birds." Yeah, and thank you. You got me watching Latu videos now. Christopher Longworth, what's up? Lucius the Show, Davey, Michael, Dennis, Donnie, Nathan, Jeffrey's here, Davey, Suo Blaze, Obese American. Americans are in great shape. What are you talking about? Marco, Christopher, every knee will bow. I guess every tongue will confess that Dallas still stinks. Dennis Barksdale, what's up? Chris Scott, Donnie, James, chicken cheese. Ooh, I haven't had chicken cheesesteak in a long time. True Eagle, Donnie, System of the Knot, Theodore, Michael, Kerr, and everybody here. John Jones, what's up, my man? Rock the Artist, time for action. What's up? Timothy Looper. What is going on, everybody? Brian Eagles has landed. Ryan, man, what a week it's been with the Eagles leading up to the draft. It always has to be something. And really, the best thing is the way this week started. And that was Devontae Smith getting an extension. Umbrella Man, thank you for Super Chat. He goes, the two best Eagle fans on YouTube right here. Thank you, man. We appreciate that, man. Thank you so much. We appreciate that. But, yeah, so the Eagles, and let me pull this up. Here you go. Ian Rappaport wrote this, as we know. The Eagles have paid another big-time rising player. This time, wide receiver Devontae Smith gets a 3-year, $75 million contract extension. That includes $51 million guaranteed. The deal was done by whoever group in Clutch Sports. Keep Smith in Philly, which is what? Through 2028?
yeah.
Which is really important. And Smith has his $15 million fifth-year option picked up and another 3 years, $75 million. I mean, it was a great deal. And obviously, Devontae Smith took less money to go there, really, to stay. I mean, he could have waited it out for Jefferson, CeeDee Lamb. He could have really put it to the Eagles. But he didn't. He didn't.
This is why you pay the guys that are homegrown talents. Heisman Trophy winner. I mean, yeah, T. Higgins and Justin Jefferson and some of these other guys haven't got paid yet. I'm as shocked as you are that the agent did say, I think we should wait, and I think Devontae Smith probably got a little bit more than that maybe his original number was, but now working in that fifth-year option for 15.5 next year, and then 3 years after that, counting this year, you have him for 5 years, which is right. Man. I mean, you work that fifth-year option into it, man. It was a bargain, man. It was a bargain.
Yeah, exactly. And so this is the cap hit for him, according to Jason at Over the Cap. So 2024, it's $8.1 million. That's nothing. 2025, $7.5 million. That's nothing. 2026 is $10.7 million. Nothing. 2027, $14 million. And then 2028 is $20 million, which may not be that big of a deal by the time it gets to 2028. But it also gives you the chance to restructure at that point in time. See, this is what I don't get caught up in the numbers and how much a guy is getting paid. I care about how the cap is hit. And that's a cap-friendly deal if I've ever seen one, dude.
Yeah,
It's a cap-friendly deal.
Yeah.
You know?
Totally.
Batman's twin, thank you for super chat. He goes, cornerback coming soon, no Diddy. No Diddy is the new way you have to say it, Joey. You can't just say pause now. It's pause, no Diddy.
Not anymore. Yeah.
It's crazy, right? Yeah. We're going to talk about a cornerback. No doubt about it. Batman twin gifted a Philly 500 memberships. Thank you so much. How many? Five channel membership. Thank you so much. I don't know who's getting them, but welcome to Dingbat Nation. And let me give everybody a quick announcement while it's fresh in my mind. So me and Joey will be streaming. We'll probably start streaming the draft night about an hour and a half early, somewhere around there. So if you guys are getting like revved up for the preview, we're gonna be doing that about an hour and a half early. And we got some surprises for you during that. I think we're gonna do something you guys will like and enjoy. So definitely check it out. Not gonna give it away right this second, but you guys I think will like it. So yeah, about what time's the draft start? Like 8 Eastern, something like that.
Yeah, I think so.
So it'll be like we'll be rolling like around 6:30, 7 o'clock. And we'll be streaming every second of the draft. Yeah, so I thought that the Devontae Smith deal is important. It was really, really important. And as the week went on, we went from Devontae Smith and a great thing to ridiculousness with the whole AJ Brown thing. And it literally, dude, I haven't been so revved up and pissed off about the Eagles since that probably the game versus the Giants that we lost. Like I haven't been that pissed off. But this AJ Brown thing, man, he posts a picture profile of Tom Brady, follows some New England Patriots. Then we hear that the Patriots are inquiring about wide receivers, and then everybody's worried that he is going to be getting traded. What were your thoughts on this whole thing went down?
It's just to a point now where we're trying to enjoy other things. And when you know that one thing is working out, which is A.J. Brown has been one of probably, I'd have to say, is one of the best receivers we've ever had in a long time. Anything that he does, any step that he takes, they will make a report out of it. It's just to a point now where, when you have receivers in the building, like we've had nice guy receivers, we've had guys that come into the building and, they're just nice guys and they don't have personalities and maybe they don't do much. And then, the front office, it's a lose-lose because the front office is either going to get blamed for things that the Eagles don't do. And then finally have a bona fide 2 number 1 receivers, especially A.J. Brown, that's been unstoppable. And anything that he does now, he gets shit on for it. And I think it's just really unfair. And there's certain people out in the industry that should be fucking ashamed of themselves. And I'm saying this. I
wonder who Joey's talking about.
I don't know what you call a radio show, what you call an actual podcast these days, because these guys are an absolute fucking joke to the Philadelphia news industry as of right now. And it's really pathetic, honestly. I think it's the most pathetic thing to see guys take other players down, twist the stories, the antics on the field that aren't a big deal. Players aren't supposed to have emotion during these games. It's just really ridiculous, dude. And it's just, we have to win the Super Bowl. This is never going to stop until this team wins the championship.
No.
So
I'm a firm believer that the Philadelphia Eagles, some people in the fan base have Terrell Owens PTSD. Even if they weren't old enough, they heard the stories. They probably saw the video of him doing push-ups and sit-ups in the driveway. Because anything goes wrong. Like you see, like on the sideline, like that week 2 game versus Minnesota, where you had AJ Brown and I think it was AJ Brown, Hurts, and the coach, and they're all talking and they were animated, and that turned into him crying for the ball. And he came out and said that's not what was going on. So, at the end of the day, I'm glad that the whole thing's over now. Albert Breer came out and said that the Eagles are not moving him, and hopefully this is the last we have to talk about stuff like that anymore.
So before
yeah.
anything, so Howard Eskin did put out a tweet 5 hours ago. Okay. Says in podcast of the morning showed Sports WIP, whatever. He said Eagles draft and who birds will likely take in round 1. So the AJ Brown nonsense about a trade being team, I'm told has had early talks about possibility of an extension.
Mm-hmm.
So
and that's my theory about the Devontae Smith signing, was that I think Devontae was taking less and doing it early was opening the door to an extension with AJ Brown.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. I never thought that this would actually happen, but then you kind of think to yourselves, like, does AJ Brown really want to play anywhere else? Like, he's in the best situation of his career right now.
Live Wild Cool David Super Chat 500. Go check out Sion Vaki from Utah, safety running back. Okay, he plays 2 positions. All right. Did I say it wrong?
No, I don't know. I was going to read it slowly to see if it was anything else.
Dijon. No. System of the Knot, member for 42 months. Thank you so much for your support. Our offenses are strong, but our defense is weak. That sounds like a fortune cookie. Our offense is strong, but our defense is weak. Pause. Defense draft incoming. Let's go get the French guy. The flying Frenchman. Man. Yeah, maybe. Let me catch up to this chat here before we move on. Suo Blaze, David Super Chat. He goes, trade for Satan and pay him a mega contract, or trade up for Terrion Arnold on a rookie deal. We're going to talk about this because I am going to blow Joey's mind today. Because for once, I believe that the Patrick Surtain situation actually has some life. I think the door's cracked open just a tiny bit. And I want to give him my opinions on why and see what he thinks. But, yeah, just going back to the A.J. Brown thing, I look forward to him getting an extension, dude. And let's just say, for argument's sake, right, let's say the Eagles were to trade him to New England. The only way that I could absolutely live with that is if they got the 3rd overall pick and got Harrison Jr. But why on earth would the New England Patriots ever give you a 3rd overall pick when they need a quarterback? And why would A.J. Brown want to go play for a team that has no chance of winning anytime soon? It makes no sense, dude.
No, none of it does.
Yeah, and I keep seeing things about Embiid. Apparently Embiid got hurt again today on a dunk to himself or something. It's crazy. Always something, man. Always something. Let me see here. So now that that nonsense is kind of behind us, and I see it as behind us. I think this is like a really important draft, and I think especially from the defensive side of the ball, I think the Eagles need to come away with guys that you can put in this system for a long time to come, man. This is no time to take chances. This is no time to not be aggressive, in my opinion, and sit at 22. Like, I think if you know who you want, you got to go up and get them, man. You got to.
Yeah, I mean, I think for a year that you're going to have this year, like the news from Derek Gunn a week or two ago was, he had some inside reports on that how he's not looking for project players. He's looking for guys that could start right now. He's looking for guys right now that could be on the field. So I could see him being aggressive. Like, I don't see a trade back out of the 5 years. He traded up 4 times. I think they have a target. I think they want to move up for somebody. Where it's going to be, I would say the early teens to the mid-teens, maybe 14, 15, something, 14 to 16, I would probably have to say. And, I mean, from what it sounds like, I mean, even from some news today, maybe it's Terrion Arnold. I mean, there's been a lot of rumors of him, between him and Quinion Mitchell being one of the first 2 off the board in this draft. So it's going to be interesting to see. I'm looking at the roster of a whole is what it is, especially at cornerback in general with Bradbury still being here. Like, to allow these corners that aren't going to play purely on the inside. So to me, it makes no sense because obviously Cooper DeJean has been the practical guy that we would think that is the weapon for our defense. That could be that Swiss Army knife. They could play multiple positions. So it's gonna be really interesting, no doubt.
Do you think, in terms of position wise, where do you think that where are you leaning that they're going to lean?
I think they're going to lean on corner.
Corner.
I think corner, and like I would say edge is a possibility at 22, or they move up for one of the better guys.
So,
I hope.
So you think they're going to go corner in round one?
They might.
And you're going to have to run around in your underwear or something?
No, that's linebacker. I told you this.
Oh,
I told you this like 5 times.
That's what everybody tells me. Okay. Okay.
Could they make a secret move, like a move that we don't know about? Like they might go after like Jackson Powers Johnson, Brock Bowers. They go tight end offensive line or something early. They could do that as well. That could be a big. Yeah, I don't know what you think, but I think potentially could be a surprise, maybe.
It's interesting. It's going to be interesting. I think corner's in play. I think offensive lineman is in play, and I think a pass rusher is in play. I think those are the 3 positions I expect them to choose from.
Yeah.
And then I'll say Cooper DeJean, the flying Frenchman. Cooper DeJean. I see him as a guy that you use for all the different things that he can do. Jason Rose, thank you for super chat. He says, "Who's your top 3 corners in this draft?" Mine is 1 Quinyon Mitchell, then Terrion Arnold, and then I probably go Wiggins.
Yeah,
but
same.
like I said, I don't consider DeJean as a corner. I consider him as like a overall weapon in the secondary.
Yeah, I was going to say Wiggins is the same too. Yeah, Terrion Arnold is going to be a solid corner. I mean, if we were to get our hands on him, I mean, I just want Bradbury gone at this point. I mean, really, when you really think about it, like, do you think like they would late cut him? Like, does it make sense to, like, out of respect for the player, is it like kind of messed up to cut him like this late? I mean, has this been on the table for a long time? I mean, Avonte Maddox could have been cut post June for $7.1 million, and they cut him on the spot before free agency or during free agency for $2 million, just for him to have respect for him to go out and check for other, look at other teams. But I mean, if Bradbury wasn't here, this would be easy because they would be corner all the way.
Right.
But because a lot of these guys are going to be purely on the inside, and Bradbury's only going to be here for this year, probably both are starting corners. You're going to have a new secondary next year. Could Isaiah Rodgers be in the mix, during camp, or could it be? I don't know. I mean, there's so many different things.
Right. So, Batman Twin, David Super Chat. Watch out. Dallas signed their long snapper. Oh, crap. Watch out. They stink, boy.
Who did they sign recently? Freeman? What was that guy's name they signed the other day?
I forget the running back. Yeah. It's crazy.
Who is that?
I don't even remember who it was. I don't remember who it was, so I can't say. But it's funny because I was listening to Mark Holmes, and he's like, he's acting like the draft is coming, and now the Cowboys are going to make their moves, and they're going to get players. It's like, dude, the Cowboys are being forced to have to get players. Like, the league is mandating, here's your draft picks. You have to pick players because they do nothing. It's the funniest thing to me. Dallas stinks, man. I think Dallas takes a giant step back this year. Dad says, I was out on Latu after watching all his film. I'll be happy with him if that neck is good to go. See, I look at Latu. I look at him. I look at Cooper DeJean. I look at those guys, and I think they're boom or bust. Like, I don't think there's any in between with those guys. They're either going to be stars or they're going to suck. I just feel that way. Latu, would you draft him? Would you be okay if they drafted him?
Look, I know people make a big deal out of the injuries, but we've done it before. We've drafted guys coming off ACLs. I mean, we're talking about something that happened in 2020. We're not talking about last year. I mean, he's got the numbers. That's what matters. But I understand that there's people that are going to be afraid. But, you got Landon Dickerson off an ACL.
Right.
So we can agree or disagree on this. Like, I was on the he was my top guy now, but to be honest, but the thing is, he's more of a fit. in Philadelphia with the pass coverage. Jared Verse I think is the best pass rusher, edge rusher in this draft. But the problem is he's not more of a coverage guy. So you'd go Dallas Turner or you'd go Latu in this draft if that's what you really want to do. So
yeah. I wouldn't mind him, especially if for some reason you stayed at 22. I wouldn't mind him, but I think he's a definite boomer bust. I really like Verse a lot, but I think you have to get up to about 11, 12 to get a chance to get him. Yeah. So, and I like Turner also. So, I mean, those are guys I like, but it always worries me about the Eagles choosing a pass rusher in the first round. Howie's record again drafting pass rushers is not good in the first round. It's not good. I mean, he missed on what's his face? Derek Barnett. I don't care what anybody says. Nobody's going to tell me that was a good pick just because he recovered one fumble in the Super Bowl. I'm sorry. That was pretty bad. Much. Remember the other kid they got, the linebacker with Chip when they had Chip Dip Kelly. I can't remember his name off the top of my head.
Well, Marcus Smith. Who?
Yeah, Marcus Smith, another bust. We haven't done a great job with early picks at pass rushers. We've done better in the mid to late rounds. So they have to know who they're drafting at that position and make sure they get the best guy that they can. Yeah. I think they got to. It's going to be interesting. The one and only Ron the Don Smith. Welcome to, I believe, is it Dingbat Nation or is it yours?
Not you. Not you.
Okay. Welcome to Dingbat Nation, my man. Thank you so much for joining. Dad said Kool-Aid would be higher if they could throw his way last year. They threw to Arnold. That's the reason Arnold flew up the charts. I like Kool-Aid too. I mean, I think those guys are both going to be really good. Bubba Davis Super Chat. He goes, who is starting difference if we play tomorrow? Who is the starting difference?
What does that mean?
Like you mean like who's the different starter that we brought in that is going to make a difference on the team? I think Saquon Barkley. I think the Saquon Barkley move offensively is huge. It's a huge move. I also think C.J. Gardner-Johnson. I think the reason why Bradbury ain't going anywhere is because the Eagles believe with C.J. Gardner-Johnson back that Bradbury will have a much better year.
Oh,
I think they think that.
I think they think that Bradbury's going to have a rebound year regardless of Chauncey Gardner-Johnson because, I don't think we could talk about the last 7 games a million times, okay? Nobody in this defense played better last year. It was a flawed system, flawed positions, and, I still think, and I don't think Bradbury is horrible, but I feel like he kind of has fallen off, but is it more coaching or is it more Bradbury or is it more both? That it just didn't work. And I think it is a little bit of both. I'm sorry, but no one produced. The defensive line didn't produce. The secondary couldn't. Everybody was getting lit up. So
right. And one of those things is when you play a corner and everything goes bad, it's always going to look really bad on you because you're the man out there by himself. Yeah. So it's true. I'm not so upset that they're going to keep Bradbury, but I would like to see them get a young corner and give that young corner a chance to play over Bradbury. I would, but we'll see if they do that.
That's the only thing I'm confused about that I say to myself, he's like Bradbury's only $4 million against the cap, a little over $4 million against the cap this year. So it's cheap to keep him on the roster, but he's making over $10.5 million. So it's like, would they actually if they, that's why I drafted McKinstry or Kool-Aid. Some of these other guys, some of these other guys that they have in this draft. I feel like there's just no room for them to be on this roster if Bradbury is guaranteed this starting job. If you're going to go after Aaron Arnold, that's great, but at least if there's promise that you're going to start him over Bradbury, I'll feel more happy about it. Right. But I feel like it's just a waste at this point because I'm not sitting at those guys. I'm not redshirting a guy this year. I'm not doing that. So. It just seems like they have a lot of interest in these other corners that makes no sense to play on the outside when it's already covered right now. That's why I go into the conversation.
Well, I mean, we'll find out who's really running the roster because if Vic Fangio really has as much say as some people think and he wants to start a rookie, they'll let him. If you see Bradbury starting, that could very well be management because they're paying him. I don't know, but I feel like the fact that you got Barkley, the fact that your offense should be really, really good, I think it should give you the opportunity and the flexibility to start young guys and let them play,
Yeah, I agree.
in my opinion. Digital Print House, what's going on? Remember 45 months? Says Philly the Fish 500 and Joey the Shive Shakes. What's happening, my man?
Oh, damn.
John Jones, what's going on? He said, don't the Cowboys need a cornerback or wide receiver? Yeah, they've got all sorts of problems. They need a corner. They need a center. They need a wide receiver. They got a whole issue with CeeDee Lamb. I mean, it was so smart for the Eagles to sign Devontae Smith before the Cowboys got CeeDee Lamb done. It's just smart, man.
If Devontae Smith's contract on like saying, hey, I'm gonna stay here for a lot cheaper, like I think that 3 years is like after his 5th year option, it's like 21. I don't know how much it is, 21 and a half. I don't know what it is, but it's nothing compared to what these other guys are gonna get. So could this make room for Howie to re-sign AJ Brown and maybe give him an extension after next year, so
yeah, I mean it gives you the flexibility, and that's why you need a good draft. Like if you could come out of this draft with some good young defensive starters, then it gives you the flexibility when you have to go out and pay money to a corner. Like we have to go out and get Darius Slay and trade for him, and then give him a whole contract, big money. It kills you. I mean, the whole Patrick Surtain situation, as much as good as he is, you're going to have to pay him on his second contract, not his first.
Now,
so it would be,
So I want to hear. After I say this real quick, I want to hear your thing on Patrick Surtain, what you have to say about him. But
okay.
The two things that are going to make a big difference and that's why like the Devontae Smith, contract works and could sign AJ Brown. You're getting that 14.5 for the Reddick trade next year. So you're going to get a big chunk of money next year for the offseason. On top of that, the cap is going up $20 million. So theoretically, you can have $60 million in cap space, $50 to $60 million in cap space next year, which is great.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Well, and AJ Brown's cap number goes to $25 million. So that may be where they want to redo his contract.
Yeah.
Because I think it's $25 million, and then it jumps up to like $41 million, and they're not going to pay him $41 million against the cap. So something will have to be done. Digital Printout favorite super chat. He goes Philly the Fish 500 and Joey the Shive Shakes. I like it. Now here's my thing with the Surtain thing. Well, let me get this super chat out of the way. Paul Fair, David super chat. He goes, you see the Seth Joyner interview with Tone DeShields? I have not. No,
yeah, it was good. It was good,
but I'll have to check it out. I think Tone DeShields is great. Let me get this one out of the way too. Sean Davis super chat. He goes, they could be holding on to Bradbury until after the draft to make sure we don't land one of the top cornerbacks. Just a thought. And that's perfectly goes into this whole thing because, as you know, Joey, I have been a guy who really has tried to even avoid talking about Patrick Surtain because I just didn't see how it would even be possible or feasible, right? But I was reading some stuff about the Broncos draft strategy and about Sean Payton, and they were saying Sean Payton wants a quarterback bad. He wants to get up to get a quarterback, and everything is on the table to do that. So I was thinking, if he's looking at trying to get up to like 3, let's say, he may look to acquire more number 1 picks. And if he's looking at acquiring more number 1 picks, then maybe he goes to the Eagles or the Eagles go to him and say, listen, we'll give you the 22nd pick overall for Surtain, or even if you have to throw something else in there, and then he would get that 22nd, then he could use at least there's 2 first-round picks to help go up, right? And if he probably throws one in the following year, that would be 3 ones. That would definitely get him in a position to draft a quarterback. So it's not like a big opening, but there is a slight opening that if he could get another number one pick, it would be possible. So that's why I think we should keep an eye on it. I don't think necessarily it's going to happen. I don't think there really has been any fire to it the whole off season. But I think with Peyton wanting a quarterback and getting up to get a young quarterback, I think there is a slight opportunity to do it.
So Surtain's contract as of right now for 24, $6.6 million against the cap this year, he's only making $1 million. He's only making $1 million bucks. His base salary is $1 million. So
right, he's in the same situation Devontae Smith was. He's got his option year coming in. So if, let's say, the Eagles were able to trade for him, they could theoretically structure his contract the same way that they did Devontae Smith, where you play the option year out and it doesn't really kick in for a few years. It's something to keep in mind. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but Peyton basically has said, the reports are that he has said that to get a quarterback, everything's on the table. So it's a possible situation, and I'm sure Howie Roseman is going to do it. Me personally, I would give up the 22nd pick for Patrick Surtain in a second. Yeah. He's young, and to me, him and Sauce Gardner are the two best corners in the league.
Yeah, and he has experience. He's already, so he's already got he's already been a starter in the league, and you don't have to produce him, and he can start right now. And then you have to fit a contract for him. Hey, what is his contract going to look like? What's the market for cornerbacks right now? That's what it is.
Yeah, I'd have to look at who's the last big corner to sign.
Jalen Johnson, I think.
Maybe. I don't know what he got, but I mean, to me, Surtain's a top 2 corner in the league. So I'm not saying it's going to happen, nor do I think it's going to happen. But finally, for the first time, I actually think there's a path where it actually makes sense, as where I didn't think it made sense the whole off season.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, Lucius the show member for 8 months. He says, "Yo, Joey, tell 500 about my theory on Bradbury." Yes, I want to hear this. What's his theory? And thank you for your support, buddy. Thank you.
I forgot. I think I forgot what it was.
I know you
said something. Yeah, I know he said something about. So I think he said that there. I think this is what he said. I think he talked about Isaiah Rodgers being that they know that they have him already. He's going to be reinstated back, and he should be reinstated soon. I think July, because I think it will be July right before training camp starts. So he thinks that, I think, because Isaiah Rodgers is coming to the mix, that he could potentially be the replacement, where they feel like they don't need to go corner in the first round. They feel like they have their guy. Since Jeffrey Lurie, I know Jeffrey Lurie says things, but at the breakfast, Jeffrey Lurie did talk about, someone asked Jeffrey Lurie about Isaiah Rodgers. He said that he was a big part of their plans. So whatever that means, I don't know, but you have a bona fide starter at cornerback on the outside right there.
Yeah. So. Well, I don't know what's going on with his situation because, a couple guys got reinstated. He hasn't yet. One of the guys that was reinstated was suspended the same exact time as him because I thought they were all early, but I went and looked it up. One of them got, and I forget which one it was, got suspended at the same time. There was some rumors, I think it was Andrew DiCecco or whatever, was saying he might get 2-year suspension. I don't know if that's any truth to that or not. That would be horrible. I imagine he's going to get an opportunity to come back soon, hopefully.
I think Isaiah Rodgers is the only cornerback out of all those gambling suspensions. He's the only one that has bet on his own team. I think that's where they take it far. And that's
that
where
could be a problem.
I think that's the problem, and I think there could – I mean, he put out this highlight video the other day like he was coming back. So maybe he's had some emails or some phone calls with, I don't know, some NFL executives.
He bet on his own team, you're saying, right?
With the Colts,
he didn't bet against his team. See, to me, if you bet on your own team, that's not a big deal. If you bet against your team, then that's a problem. But Hopefully he'll come back. I think he is a big part of the Eagles, man. I was watching some tape of him just on special teams, and he's dangerous. Dangerous.
Yeah.
You know? David Lewis
True.
says Jair Alexander is the highest right now at 21 million.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. Dre Diesel, David Super Chat. He goes, NFL got to tell the Eagles what's up with Rodgers before the draft night. If not, that's some dirty birdie bullshit, and Goodell is trading to fuck us. Well, I think that's why you got to stay with the one thing. You have to just go best player available. Do not allow, whatever you think your need is to control your first round. Take the best player available. Now, I'll say this. I think that the best, if you're going, like, what position has the best chance to start right away? I think it would be right guard. I think if you drafted somebody that could play right guard, I think the chances of them starting right away is above corner and above an edge rusher, pass rusher.
Yeah, I mean, like Troy Fontana, who's already visited the team, or he's talked to the Eagles 2 times, one at the combine, one at
I like him a lot.
Yeah, and I mean, Cooper Beebe would be great in a second just because he's played left tackle, left guard, right guard, and he would fit in perfectly. J.C. Latham could start right guard right now, could kick out the right tackle when Lane Johnson retires in a couple of years. So there's options. There's a lot of value in that second round, Philly. Second round has got some good players there.
Yeah. I want Cooper. I want Edrin Cooper, man. I want Edrin Cooper in that second.
I know.
God, I want him. Pause. No Diddy. Dre Diesel, David Super Chat. He goes, NFL got to tell the Eagles what's up with. Oh, I read this, right? If not some dirty bird bullshit. Yeah, I agree. Totally agree with you, man. Leon Banks, a member for 4 months. Thank you so much. He goes, Sills is a clown. I hate how he cuts you off. Hey, he actually apologized to that about cutting me off, but I didn't think he cut. I was okay. We were okay. I was double moonwalking that ass about the A.J. Brown situation. So we were all good. Lacey Ford says it's a 2-year minimum, but that was implemented after he was suspended. Well, then they shouldn't be holding him accountable to something after, No. Yeah, that's crazy. Batman's twin, David Super Chat goes, Texas boy is an Eagles chat because Dallas still stinks. Yes, they do. Texas boy, listen, the Cowboy fans have to come to the Eagles chat to get anything with any action because the Cowboys haven't done anything all year. There's nothing to talk about. It's crazy to me. Zachary says, what's good, 500? And Joey, what's up, my man? DeJean is my favorite corner in this draft. Then it's Mitchell, Arnold, and Wiggins. Drafting any of them would be sick. I agree. I'm telling you what, man. I am like, I have this weird desire to get Cooper DeJean. The flying, I don't know. He has grown. No player has grown on me more during this whole draft process than Cooper DeJean. Just because I feel like he's got a lot of a skill set that is hard to get, and if you have a good mind as a coordinator and somebody that uses him right, I think he could be one of the guys that you build your defense around for years to come. I mean, doesn't the idea of having him and C.J. Gardner-Johnson back there, that's exciting to me, dude. I like that whole idea.
They have options. They could do whatever they want with him. That's the greatest thing. It's not like he just plays multiple positions and he plays one or two very well. He can play everywhere at a high level. His main focal is outside corner, but he could pan to the inside. They can move him. They can make him a Malcolm Jenkins piece to this defense. And then if you have an injury, the more hybrid players you have, the better it's going to be. You have Sidney Brown, you have Chauncey, you have, a post-draft sign could be Justin Simmons if they don't hit on a certain safety. He might be out there after the draft if they don't hit on it. So there's plenty of options out there. And DeJean just can cover so many of your weak points for years.
Right. Yeah. Nathan says, I'm back down a little bit on Cooper, to be honest, riding the wave. Gotcha. Troll King says Rodgers will be eligible for reinstatement 9 days. All right, that's great. Get him back, John Jones loves Jackson Powers Johnson. And he says, Jackson Powers Johnson, man, I know Stoutland, you want him. Listen, that's enough. Him, Fatanu, the kid from Alabama. I'll take any of those offensive linemen because, one, you got Stoutland. But the question I would have if you drafted Jackson Powers Johnson, do you play him at center or do you play him at guard? I almost want to put him at guard and just keep Juergens at center.
Yeah, the weird thing is Juergens did his little presser, and like I don't even think he even said that where he was going to play. I mean, he's not going to say anything because he doesn't want to give up draft strategy. Probably told not to give up draft strategy, or but I don't know what's going to happen. But the Eagles have an opportunity. Jackson Powers. I mean, I don't know how far you have to move up, but it's probably going to be far. You probably have to go like between 12 to 14. I mean, probably
for you think he's going to go that early?
He potentially maybe.
I think he'll be there. What I think is Fatanu. I'm seeing mock drafts where he goes in the top 12. So I'm like, I don't know. That's why I think you're going to have to move up in this draft to really get somebody you want. I think you have to try to get to like 15, 16.
Yeah.
Paul Feder, David Super Chat goes, Seth said Howie got rid of Reddick. Yeah, I have to see that.
Okay. So Howie said it was bittersweet. He said it was a win-win on both sides. I'm just not getting this. I'm not getting this whole trade on how it worked for both sides at all. I just don't. If the Eagles valued Reddick that much, how it's a third round 26 conditional, I know every time I talk about, people in the comment section are always like, get over it. Like, I understand to get over it, but dude, like, there's nothing from that trade that's going to help us for this year. We're talking 2 years from now. So I just have a feeling something happened and it went sour, and Reddick, like Howie's hands were tied, and they had to just get something for him.
Right.
He hasn't signed his contract yet. Until I see that contract signed, I'm going to believe that some bad shit happened behind the scenes with Howie Roseman and this back and forth. I have to say that.
Well, just the way that Howie answered the question when talked about the compensation, like he got very defensive, and to me, it made me think that there's just more to the story. I don't know what it is, but I mean, at this point, who knows? All I know is he's gone, and Bryce Huff and Nolan Smith, two guys that have to really go out and prove it, because if they don't produce, we're in big trouble defensively, dude. We're in trouble. They've got to produce. Kenneth Tubes, thank you for the super chat, man. Appreciate it. We appreciate it. Dyrose Tube, thank you for the super chat. He goes, TJ Tampa. You know what that means? Thank you for the super chat, though. Paul Feder, thank you for the super chat. He goes, DeJean is great depth, a slot, and a safety. I agree. See, I think DeJean is one of those guys where, it's similar to how he looks at Barkley. He didn't say, well, we signed a running back. He said we signed a weapon. I think Cooper DeJean, his ability to be a playmaker, a ball hawk, a guy that could play in a slot if you need him in the slot, could play on the outside if you need him on the outside, could put him at safety. I think a guy like that provides so much versatility on defense. And if you put him with a guy like CJ Gardner-Johnson, I think you got a really nasty secondary, man. I'm really interested in that. But if they just drafted Cooper DeJean and say, all right, he's our outside corner, and they just leave him there, I think they're wasting a lot of talent.
So you think he's more valuable playing, in a situational matchup type thing every week during the season,
possibly
than really one position. Yeah.
How would Bill Belichick use a guy like that? He would use them all over the place. I think that's what I would do. Will the Eagles do it? I don't know, but I think that there's a shot. And I try to think, like, how would a Belichick use a guy like that? How would a Jim Johnson use a guy like that? When Jim Johnson had Dawkins. He went to Dawkins and he told Dawkins, and Dawkins said this, we're going to build the defense around you. And Dawkins, one of the things that people don't remember about Brian Dawkins is Brian Dawkins wasn't only just a great player, a Hall of Famer, but he also really changed the way that the safety position was played. Because back before Dawkins, it was you had your free safety, you had your strong safety. You know, you had your safety come up, he'd play the run, man in the box kind of thing. And then you had your safety that could cover. Dawkins was a guy that could do both. He could cover, he could blitz, he could stop the run. And then after Dawkins, you've seen the Ed Reeds, the Troy Palomalus, and he really changed the way that position was played. I see Cooper DeJean as a guy that if they use right, they could get a guy that could be interchangeably used, dude.
Yeah, I believe it. I think that's a ton of value. And a Vic Fangio scheme, it's a ton of value. For his scheme, it will be. Yeah.
Right. Yep. What's up, Jules? How are you doing? Andrew says, I want Quinyon Mitchell. Get it done, Howie. Now, Quinyon Mitchell is my favorite outside corner. I think if you're just going to get a corner start, I like him. Now, I understand he played in Toledo. I understand the competition thing is a problem. But I still think that there's good enough tape on him that if you just watch him playing his games, I think he's got a ton of talent, man. And I like Arnold too. Look, any of those corner, Arnold, Terry Arnold, Wiggins, Mitchell, Kool-Aid.
Good class.
Any of those guys, I think, are going to be really solid corners in the next level. They may not be high-end Patrick Surtain or Sauce, but I think that you're looking at guys that could be Pro Bowl solid guys,
They have to get this right because you're losing Slay and Bradbury after the season. So your secondary is going to look different next year. Right. And I think not only do you have the opportunity to get one of the best corners in this draft, whether it's a Swiss Army knife in Cooper DeJean or a Terrion Arnold, but you're in a position now where you go into next year. And I mean, with the depth that you have, I think you have perfect depth with Eli Ricks, and Keely Ringo might be stepping up this year. And, Tyler, the whatever his name in the nickel spot, they have a lot of potential there. There's some guy and had starting experience last year, not in a great system, obviously, but I think they're good all around. They just got to add another body to it. I think we'll be good.
I agree. Death Row South David Super Chat. He goes, Vic Fangio is going to dictate how the draft goes. So any pick on defense is pretty much his pick, not Howie's. Defensive end to replace Brandon Graham. If that's the case, then I can't say that Howie Roseman has a lot of say in the roster. But we were talking about that in a Bradbury situation, and could a potential corner start over Bradbury when they're paying him. If Fangio has the power, Death Row South and David Super Chat says, then there's no problem to draft a corner and put him in over Bradbury, because that's all Fangio. I think Fangio has an enormous amount of power too.
Yes,
I do. I have to agree with you.
Totally agree.
Let's see. Let me see here. I'm just trying to make sure I didn't miss anything. Let's see. The front office is upset about Reddit comments dropping coverage 10 times. Possibly. I mean, I assume so. So Blaze David Super Chat. He goes, Jurgens lost a lot of weight. They said he cuts weight in the offseason, but I wonder if it's to be more mobile for center because we got offensive line for a second. I think it's because if he lost weight, I think it's more to be a center. Because they like that center as a pull, with like Kelsey. Kelsey was smaller and athletic. I think if he stays at right guard, he bulks up or is the same size. So I think that tells us he's going to be center this year.
Yeah.
Which opens the door to drafting a guy like Fatanu or one of these guys and put him at like Fatanu. You draft him, he plays right guard. When Lane retires, he kicks out to right tackle, right? Powers kid, the JPJ, if he gets drafted, he can't. I don't see him kicking out to right tackle he would be your right guard, and that's it.
Yeah. No, I believe it. There's plenty of
I
options here.
I want players that play this draft. I
Yes.
don't want players that don't play all year.
Mhm.
Fresh and clean day for Super Chat. He goes, Eagles believe in Fangio's scheme too much. I agree. Me and Joey both agree with you. I have big issues with the whole scheme. But at this point, it's like it's too late. We're in it, so we got to just hope for the best,
Yeah, it's figured out over the years because if you're playing off ball and you really have to put a lot of focus into your players athletically being sound to make tackles in open space where most of the time these quarterbacks are going to have a few seconds to throw the football, whether it's a short pass, that hopefully doesn't turn to a home run hit. So that's where it comes into consideration. So
right. Jeff Bone the Bonehead. I love that name. David Super Chat. He says, love your content. Do you see either drafting or signing another running back? It's a great question because we haven't talked a lot about running back, but I think they have to get another running back at some point. I still think you have to. And I think that they're going to draft a running back, to be quite honest with you. In the mid to late rounds. Or they'll get a couple undrafted rookie free agents. But I definitely see running backs coming.
Yeah, they have that Prince kid from the 49ers. Like he's like a more of a shifty bruiser that hasn't really had too much opportunity. So he's like the only other running back that's here. The third day of the draft, I would say, day 3 would probably be the spot you're going to go. I mean, I really want a bruiser in Philadelphia bad, but there's a couple in here, especially the kid Estime from Notre Dame. There was rumors
you were
that the
telling me
Eagles,
about him.
The Eagles had him, I think, in for a visit. Had a lot of interest in him. I mean, he's real shifty. Got really good vision. I think he had 18 touchdowns. He only started 2 games the year before last year. So, and he just broke out last year. But he's a receiving back as well with size, which is kind of crazy. I mean, fantastic. So
I'm gonna have to check him out. And they're saying what, day 2 or day 3 pick is around where he's supposed to go.
Day 3 pick, yeah, probably day 3.
Well, they've done okay with running backs in the past, so I'm okay with it. But I do. I mean, Boston Scott is no longer with you. I'm not. You know how I feel about Kenneth Gainwell. I think he's a good rotational guy, but I think he's a third running back. So I think you do need another running back.
Yeah.
But I can't tell you, dude. I cannot wait to see Saquon Barkley. I'm so pumped up about that, man. I love it. I'm so happy.
I'm just saying this, dude. Like if you want to, like what we kind of wanted them, we really wanted to use Rashad Penny in red zone or something. Like be unstoppable and don't have to put too much on Saquon Barkley every game and put his body through disaster every single game and keep him fresh every game because these backs are going to be receiving backs. In the Kellen Moore system, I mean, he loves throwing to these running backs. I think Barkley's going to be fantastic in that. But getting a guy that's going to get those big chunk yards, like in red zone, whether it's maybe third, second, and short, something where they don't have to do the brotherly shove all the time. There's backs out there.
Do you think the brotherly love? Do you think that's going to? And I didn't mean to cut you off, but do you think it's going to be greatly affected with the loss of Kelsey?
They're going to practice the crap out of it.
Yeah.
Probably. So
yeah.
I don't know. Like, yes, it all depends on Cam Jurgens, but I don't think they're going to miss a heartbeat with it unless like Jurgens is just really bad getting off the football this year. That's going to be like where they're going to get stuck. But I don't think so. I think we'll be fine.
Yeah, we got 458 people in the chat on both channels. Make sure you hit that like. Make sure you subscribe. Click the link in the description. Sub up my man Joey Shakes. And a reminder for those that don't know, we will be streaming every minute of the draft. And we will be starting day 1 of the draft early. We got something special for you guys coming on that Thursday before the draft starts. So you guys definitely want to be here because it's going to be a wild time. Now, that said, I got to say this. We don't give you the picks 20 minutes early. We know you could get the picks early. Very easy to do. But to us, this is a viewing experience. This is watching the draft with a bunch of friends, hanging out. And if you want to do that and just be in on it and the natural reactions of it, then this is the place where you're going to want to be, because it gets wild. Our Matt Corral jerseys are ready to go. They're ironed, they're clean, and it's going to be one hell of a 3 days.
And when we lose it, we lose it.
When we lose it, we lose it. Yeah, exactly. I really am I think that it's going to be very hard for me to get upset in the first round, because usually there's a couple guys I'm like, we got to get these guys, or there's a couple guys I'm like, do not draft this guy. I don't feel like that this year as much.
There's not one guy in the first round you'd be like, at 22.
Yeah, I mean, there may be a couple guys I'm like, but I don't think so. I don't, Paul Fetter, David Super Chat goes, what about Wilson, linebacker, 6'4", 240? Talk about Peyton Wilson, Dallas Goedert's twin brother. I think he's good. I like him. I like him. Listen, I want to come out of this draft with either Edrin Cooper, Peyton Wilson, or Jeremiah Trotter Jr. And I'll say this about Trotter Jr. I got a feeling he's going to land in Philly. And it's just something how he said at the press conference. It made me feel like they're going to, if he's there at some point, they're taking him. And that's the plan. He talked about how he likes to get guys that formerly played, has connections to the Eagles in some sort of way. And I don't know, just the way he answered the question just made me go, oh man, they could be looking for the Axeman too.
And Axeman Jr. is an intense player. Like stats show for it in college. I mean, between the balance of coverage and run support, shooting the gap, getting after quarterbacks, he could do it. I mean, I'm not saying the talent's there. I just feel like people get too connected because of the name. If Edgar Cooper's on the board, and you draft, him instead, it may be a problem. But
that would bother me. I think Cooper is going to be really good, dude. I do. I think Cooper is going to be good. To me, if you get Cooper, I think it could be very quickly. He could be starting. That's how much I think of him. Paul Fetter, David Super Chat again, man. He goes, Baldy likes DeJean and Peyton Wilson. Trotter too small. See, everybody says Trotter's too small, but you got to go look at Trotter. Go look at Ray Lewis when he came out. Go look at Patrick Queen. Go look at their size at the combine. They're basically the same size. It's what he can do to get stronger and to get bigger. I think he'll be fine. But Trotter's size doesn't scare me. Nakobe Dean's size is he was like 220 coming out of the draft. So it's like I think Trotter's size is overblown. I think he's on the smaller side. I agree with that, but I don't think it's such a negative that it should prevent us from drafting him. Is what I'm trying to say.
Agree.
But I do like I have Cooper and Wilson ahead of him as two of my linebackers. How would you feel if we came out of the first two picks with DeJean and Peyton Wilson or Edrin Cooper?
Oh, it'd be I would be happy already. I would just be more excited to see what other needs they would want. I think I would feel comfortable with that. Very comfortable.
Right. Freddie Lemus, thank you for Super Chat. He goes, what scares you guys the most about the draft? Thank you for Super Chat. What scares me most about the draft is that the Eagles pick round one based upon position and not based on talent. And let's say you get a guy that is, I don't know, somehow, there's a guy that shouldn't be there, that falls. Let's say a Verse or somebody, just as an example. And you're in a position to get them, and you prefer to go need. That scares me the most. I want the best player available in round one. I don't care if he's a linebacker. I don't care if he's a corner, offensive lineman. I don't care. I just want the best player available because the chances of hitting a first-round pick is low. Most first-round picks don't pan out. So I think you got to go best player available. That scares me the most. What say you?
I'd probably say something that's more analytical. I feel like they take something more from a monster combine over what they've done in college. That kind of freaks me out a little bit because we've obviously been down that analytical road way too much. Where like, oh, like this player was top 3 on this drill and that drill, and they make so much about it. Where the stats in college really don't pan up to what I mean. Testing is testing at the end of the day, and I think it is important. Depending on position and some of the activities they do at the combine. But it's obviously just a dog and pony show at the end of the day, just for draft stock to really go up on some of these players. But I think there is worth in the combine. I think there is things you could take from it that you could say, okay, yeah, that's, you could take certain activities and say, wow, this guy's got great athletic ability. But, when you put that, put pads on and you're playing in college or you're going against certain guys and certain talent around college, that's where it really makes more sense. So the analytical route over a best player with better statistics in college is where it throws me, and I hope that doesn't happen. So
and I'm not talking about like where it's like these guys are kind of even, but I'm talking about when you get a disparity and this guy has got a ton of talent, but he's a pass rusher, and you really decided you want an offensive lineman, and you've had 5 offensive linemen go, that kind of thing I'm talking about. I think that that, and I'd say the other thing slightly is that it scares me to stay at 22. Like I don't like the idea in this draft of just letting everything fall the way it should. I think if you have I think the Eagles should have about 5 players that they're like, if these guys get to like 16, we're going up and getting them, and then be aggressive to do it. You got to come away in this draft with guys that are going to contribute right away. You have to.
Yeah.
And
I think. Sorry.
Go ahead.
I think part of it too is you got the connected to the draft and what players you acquire in free agency. At the end of the day, the Eagles have got to get the coaching staff right, and it's got to be right now. It can't. We're probably getting to this next super chat because they kind of talk about it, but it's just one of those things where you can't. The coordinators, the switching up, and who has control, who doesn't have control. I think things have changed a little bit. I think in the offseason, they've done a lot more than I expected them to do because not only did they get 2 new coordinators, which we kind of hopefully expected, but they hired a lot of assistant coaches that I think Moore got his own guys. I think Fangio got his own guys. But the one word I've been saying that they've been hiring is experienced coaches, not young guys from other teams that were assistants that didn't do much of anything for an organization. But that's where the worth as I come to these draft picks and all these, Howie Roseman makes these rosters every single year. He acquires all these players. He does these contracts. He locks up players, but the coaching has got to be right before anything. That's the final piece.
Yeah. Do you feel overall okay with the coaching as we're where we are right now?
Yeah,
How do you feel about him?
Fangio, I think me and you can agree. We don't like the scheme. We don't like that the scheme is higher than the players, that scheme has more worth, that you could just throw any player you want into a scheme, not catering to what you already have and work around it. And I think you said that, cater to what you have now and work around that roster. But Fangio, if you want someone to run this Fangio scheme, you have the best guy, not the guy that's closest to him, that's coached with him. You're getting the guy that statistically didn't do too bad with Miami last year. I mean, at least your defensive line is going to hit home. So that's great. But offensively with Kellen Moore, I think this is going to be the best roster that Kellen Moore has ever coached on paper. I think this is an opportunity for him not only – and let me ask you this. If Kellen Moore – if this offense is flawless this year, do you think Nick is still out of the building because all the success is coming from Kellen Moore?
No, I don't think so. I think if he does a good job, he's there. I think Nick has a problem as if they start out slow. Yeah. Now the question is going to be this: is what happens if they come out and they're great, and the offense is humming and doing everything we could. Is Kellen Moore gone? Are we going to be going into another situation with another offensive coordinator? I mean, Jalen Hurts talked about this at the press conference. Some people are trying to make something out of it, but he was true. He was right. I mean, what are we going to do? Keep having a revolving door of coordinators and coaches for him? So Kellen Moore, to me, if he goes out and has a good year, I think he's going to get a job. Would the Eagles give him enough money to keep him? Would they say, Nick Sirianni, you're gone no matter what? I mean, how would they do it? Because
can they block him after a year? They can block him, can't they?
I don't think you can block a coordinator or anybody from taking a job that is an upgrade. So like a level lateral move you can block, but I don't think you can block a move.
It's just weird because Kellen Moore, like when we were hiring Nick Sirianni, he came in for an interview. I think the writing's been on the wall that
they almost hired him. They were close to hiring him as head coach.
Yeah.
So if you're in a situation where you have a great year and Kellen Moore is going to potentially get a head coaching job, would the Eagles say, Nick Sirianni, you took us to the NFC Championship game, we're going to fire you for Kellen Moore? It wouldn't happen. So you could potentially lose another coordinator and you're starting over again for Hurts. I think it's very important to try to make sure he's around for a couple of years.
Colin Cowherd said this last year during the crumble. Okay, he says, like, how does your offense change this much within a year? And it's just one of those things where, like, you always got to keep what the players are successful with in-house. You took nothing from Shane Steichen's playbook. It's like Nick just said, oh, I could do this again. And he just twisted the whole thing around. I mean, you didn't work anything from Shane Steichen or nothing. I mean, Brian Johnson worked next to him all year last year. And what did you do? You just used him as a scapegoat this year to handle the clipboard. Other than that, that's all you did. This was Nick's game plan. This is Nick's idea to keep this defense around. This is all him. He's the focal blame. Like, there's two things you need to see with your head coach. Number one, when your team is winning, you have to see if you're, how does your head coach keep your team uplifted when you're winning, and how do you keep their spirits up to keep winning? The other side to that is, what does your coach do when there's a downfall, when things aren't going right and you're losing consistent games? I wasn't impressed with Nick Sirianni did and how he handled this team. And, he couldn't give the play calling over because you hired so many of these non-experienced young coaches around him that couldn't do much of anything. After Dave Spadaro took questions from Eagle fans, I forgot what week it was. It was on Twitter. I remember he was taking questions, and an Eagles fan asked him, like, how much percentage does Nick Sirianni have control of this offense? He said, he has full control of the offense. It's his game plan. After hearing that, I was like, wow. Back to 21 all over again, pretty much. It's crazy, dude.
It is.
Crazy.
It is. Leon Banks says, will you make Dingbat Nation merchandise this year? I will. I'm going to have some Dingbat Nation stuff. Me and Joey got some Philly Shakedown stuff coming, some draft stuff coming. It's going to be an exciting week. But, yeah, we will definitely be doing it. Donnie says, bring out the Matt Corral jerseys. The jerseys are ready to go, my friend. They will be out soon enough. No doubt about it. Death Row South, thank you for Super Chat. How many years would Jalen get consistent coaching, or will we have new coaches after this year again? So that we just talked about it. See, this is what you get over here. You get future Eagles news today. If Kellen Moore goes out and has a great year, I'm like 90% sure he's going to get a head coaching job. He's almost gotten head coaching jobs already a few times. So I think you're going to run into the problem. That's going to be one of the issues with success. You could potentially be in a situation where you need a new coordinator. And the Eagles are going to have to figure a way. I mean, look, they pay Stoutland so much money that he's not has any desire to go anywhere else. You're going to have to throw a ton of money, man. That's just the way you're going to have to do it.
True.
But hey, listen, I mean, I think it's a good problem to have because it means you're having success. And that's what we want.
Well, I think Nick's on the spot. I think Nick's on the spot too. I think this puts more of a focal because Nick, like, you see how like the press conferences, like from the combine to the breakfast. Like, he's trying to, like, Nick is trying to make himself look like he's doing something with the team. Like, oh, I'm being involved in the offense. It's like, I think he's just doing that because I think he's just saying that so it looks like, so he doesn't get, so the media doesn't attack him. Like, he's making it look like he's doing all this stuff. And I just don't agree. I just don't feel like I feel like literally he's been just a supporting cast of what Moore and Fangio have all this control and collaboration with Howie Roseman. And Nick has nothing to do with it. I don't think it has anything to do with it, to be honest.
Right.
I hope not.
Right.
But
Sixers lost, by the way. It's ridiculous.
They choked.
It's like, dude, they are the Dallas Cowboys of the
Mhm.
NBA. It's just the truth. Batman Twin, thank you for super tickets. Philly and size talk. No Diddy. No Diddy. Why F is Tobias Harris starting? I do that. You're gonna get me all upset, and I'm gonna start to lose my voice again. It's very frustrating, dude. Goldie says they need to keep Kellen Moore because Jalen Hurts does not want a revolving door of coordinators. For God's sake, give the man a chance. Well, what we're saying is not that he's going to get fired, that he's going to get a head coaching job. That, to me, I don't think Kellen Moore gets fired after 1 year. I think Kellen Moore is more likely to be successful and then get a head coaching job. There are a lot of teams that want to pull the trigger on him being a head coach anyways. Now, the Dallas situation with him kind of hurt him because he was the scapegoat in Dallas. I mean, Mark Holmes keeps talking about Kellen Moore choke. He literally goes out and talks about Kellen Moore choking. He's a Kellen Moore chokes in the playoffs. How can you possibly say something like that when Dak Prescott's the quarterback and you don't say that about him? See, I think Kellen Moore was a scapegoat in Dallas because they couldn't win a playoff game. I think that, with the Chargers, to me, they should have fired their head coach 2 years ago. He was a choker. I think Kellen Moore with the Eagles here, I think he's going to be good. I think he's going to be really, really good. And I think he's going to show a lot of people up.
Yeah, Keenan Allen had his best year. I mean, over his 30s, he had his best year under Kellen Moore. And that whole offense was hurt. Their defense was hurt. I mean, really, all he had was a receiver and a running back to really work with, really, and a quarterback that was hurt all year. So,
right. Oh, man, Dylan Jordan, I'm sorry I didn't mean to miss your super chat. He says, what's up, Cannoli Kusher and Wife Smasher? The Cannoli Kusher and the Wife Smasher. Dude, that sounds like a horror movie. I like it, though. It sounds like a horror movie. Me and Joey are going to be we're getting ready to do a horror movie. So you got the Philly Shakedown, or maybe it's the Takedown. Going to be a horror movie. We're working on it. It's going to come out right around the time my my HBO series about Carson Wentz and Howie Roseman come out. We're going to just call it The War. It's going to be awesome. Thank you for that super chat. Let's see here. Batman's Twin, we wrote that. I read that one. Trying to make sure that I don't miss any more. Catch up here. And then I want to, I know we're over an hour in. Are you good to keep going or?
Yeah. Go ahead. Okay. Yeah, I'm fine.
Okay. Well, I want to make sure, I want to talk a little about the wide receiver position.
Okay.
Because I think that I think the Eagles are going to take a wide receiver earlier than people think. I mean, how do you feel about where we are at the wide receiver spot? Not Brown and Devontae, but your third, fourth wide receivers. Like, I think Devontae Parker's shot. I think Paris Campbell's on. I don't think they got good enough wide receivers to say that they've really even upgraded. I would almost rather have Zacchaeus back than have what we have. So I feel like they're doing that because they're getting ready to draft a wide receiver. I think they're going to take a receiver somewhere around the second round with one of those second round picks.
Yeah, potentially. Yeah, like that's been one of our weakest positions. Even our last Super Bowl, that was the weakest position where we try to count on Quez for these big plays. It just didn't happen. Unfortunately, guys get hurt and guys just can't give us their all, and they just haven't upgraded there. It's not hard to find a wide receiver 3. This draft is depending if they want a big receiver with speed, like Xavier Legette or Donovan Mitchell, or they want to go like a Ricky Pearsall or a Lad McConkey, like would be even Anais Smith from Texas A&M. That's another guy that could be a fourth, fifth round pick
Worthy.
this year. Yeah, I mean, Worthy. I mean, they need to get a route running specialist. Like they need to get a guy that's twitchy, that could stop on a dime, turn direction, like somebody that's going to be a threat on the inside. And I'm telling you, like if they don't upgrade that position, I feel like you're just wasting it. You're going to waste this whole draft away. There's so much you could do.
Like the fact that they spent like Parker was like, hey, basically the Eagles got paid to take him. Campbell, you know, I mean it's true. It's true. Am I right though? I mean they were basically paid to take him.
Yeah.
But Campbell's, you know, I mean, listen, he's got a lot of speed. He has shown. I always thought he was going to be better than what he was, and yeah, he was with the Giants and the Colts before. But like, I feel like that they got those guys because I see those guys as fourth, fifth wide receivers. I think there's a giant hole at that third wide receiver spot, and I think they're going to look to this draft to take one. I really think that. I think. You know, in the second round, I think we're going to go one linebacker, one wide receiver. That's what I think they're going to do. And, you know, I don't know which one first, but I think they're looking at these receivers going, we could, some of these receivers are better than Parker and Paris Campbell right now. So I think they're going to take a receiver early. Now, what's interesting to me about the receiver situation is if they plan on signing a A.J. Brown long-term extension, I think you go for a guy like a Lad McConkey. If you're looking at going, you know, eventual replacement in a few years, then maybe you go Legette, maybe you go Mitchell, you know. So, but I do think they're going wide receiver earlier than people think.
Yeah, it's a possibility. I mean, I think what's gonna designate that is if they get an offensive lineman in the first or second round. I think that's where it's gonna designate it. So we'll see.
Yeah. Texas Boy says 500. How could you say that when he was trash with the Chargers? Stop making excuses because he's on the Eagles. Dude, I said it when he went to the Chargers. He was the scapegoat. The Chargers were a mess last year. Listen, the Chargers, that whole coaching staff blew it in that game versus the Raiders, where all they had to do was basically not do anything, and they both go to playoffs. He was a choker. That team was destined to fail. And no, I don't blame Kellen Moore. But how could you sit there with Dak Prescott as your quarterback, who throws pick sixes and loses and does nothing every playoffs? How can you sit there and put any responsibility on anybody else but that quarterback? He is so overrated, and he's a choker. That's just the truth.
He's the only player. He's the only player that's been around the last 8-9 years. He's the only player that hasn't. That he's the only substance of that franchise that hasn't changed. Has been the only problem. If everything else is changing around him for this long, and they're scapegoating everything around him, then
right. I mean, it's just. It's the truth. I mean, you know, and by Mark Holmes having to, you know, make excuses for him, it's just ridiculous. Like Mark Holmes, every video he does is Dak Prescott. Here you go. Dak Prescott just put Jerry and Stephen Jones on notice. Can the Cowboys just draft get here? Sick of the daily drama. He's talking about Dak. Just days away from the draft. Did Dak just let the Cowboys know whatever? Cowboys playing games, chicken with Dak. Dak Prescott taking Cam Newton's advice about being
I don't know.
What a bunch of bullshit. Every video he does is making excuses for Dak Prescott. They don't hold him responsible. They let him off the hook, and he could never survive in Philly. Sorry, just had to
but as a fan, how do you let him off the hook? Like, I'm sorry, but I saw a different reaction from Mark Holmes during that playoff game. I saw a way different reaction.
Yeah, you look at his initial reaction, it's the most real it's going to get. Then everything else from that point of that playoff game, Mark Holmes has been doing damage control all season on Dak Prescott. Not one time did he say Dak Prescott needs to show us he can win? It's everybody else's fault, including Kellen Moore, who wasn't even there. It's a bullshit. Sorry, I had to go off on it. Zachary Hernandez, thank you for super chat. He goes, question for Joey. Yo, Joey, what are your thoughts on this year's offense? I believe Saquon can have 1,500 all-purpose yards, Jalen 4,000 plus all-purpose yards, AJ and Smitty plus 1,250.
Yeah, it's realistic. I mean, Saquon in general, so having Saquon in the backfield now is going to put a safety in the box, which could give you a big play for some of these wide receivers if Kellen Moore gets them in the right position. So I mean, I think all purpose. Yeah, I think Saquon is going to have over 12, 13, 1,400 yards. I mean, but depending on how what's the distribution going to be, depending on each game and how they're going to work these running backs, I think is going to be interesting this year. And on the I don't think Saquon is going to be like a 18 to 25. He's going to tote the rock that time per game. But I feel he'll be in the passing game a lot, and it depends on how many more reps these other guys are going to get in the backfield. So
right,
I think I mean it's endless. It's Kellen Moore could really take off with this offense, no doubt.
Right. Sue Blaze, David Super Chick goes, Dak is the Matt Ryan of this generation. Sad thing is, Matt's going to the Super Bowl. Dak never will. Yeah, at least Ryan almost won a Super Bowl. I mean, Dak to me is Kirk Cousins, dude. They're the same exact guy. They're same guy.
Yeah.
Except for Dak. Dak doesn't help you with the cap. For whatever reason.
I mean, I don't get how they're so cap strapped. I mean, I don't know how they're so. I mean, are they literally sitting back just saying, "Oh, we got to sign Micah Parsons"? I mean, it doesn't sound like Dak will be there after next year. So, I mean, I don't know. I have no idea. I don't know how you move money around and literally have you do nothing. I mean, they're not big free agency. They're not a big free agency type team because when they do make moves, Cowboy fans go ballistic and they hype up that team that they're going to the Super Bowl. When they signed Brandon Cooks and got Stephon Gilmore, we didn't hear the end of it because they actually did what a GM was supposed to do, was actually make some friggin' moves.
Well, you watch when they draft the player in the first round, they're going to act like they just did something. Now they're going to the Super Bowl. It's like the league has mandated that you must take a player because you have done nothing. They're such full of shit. Goldie says Kellen Moore is the reason why Dak Prescott got all the money. Absolutely, 100%. You're absolutely right. I think Dallas.
With top 10 offenses 3 out of 4 years. I mean, come on now. I mean, come on.
Yeah. I mean, it's really crazy.
I think they were I think on Kellen Moore's bad year with the Cowboys, they were ranked like 16th. I think that was like it wasn't even dead last.
Yeah. Kyle says, Philly, I bet you $40 Mark Holmes live stream is going to include food. I bet you. I mean, it should be more like the Foods live stream might include Mark Holmes. That's what it should be like, because that's the only thing they're going to have to look forward to. I mean, the Cowboy fans are so excited about the draft because they don't get or do anything up until then. You ever watched the movie Major League?
Long time ago. Yeah.
Okay, this is where Mark Holmes gets his Joe Boo doll from, but in Major League, the owner of the team was trying to move to Miami. And so she was trying everything she could do to get them to lose so that the attendance would stay down and then she would have an excuse to go. I think Jerry Jones is the owner of Major League. I think he is doing everything he can to actually make sure Dallas doesn't win and that the blame is on Dak Prescott so that he can go and get Shedeur Sanders, which is Michael Irving's theory, and I like it. I think it's true. I mean, they got CeeDee Lamb, Dak Prescott, and Micah Parsons. Your 3 best players. Not one of them can get a contract done. It's a fight for each and every one of them. I mean, dude, he wants to lose on purpose so he can remake the team.
Well, the truth is they're not doing anything because, I mean, wouldn't you want to get a quarterback this year? I mean, you really can't. I mean, they probably could if they were very aggressive. I mean, with the last year, I mean, they're just going to play it out with Dak and wait till next year to draft the number one guy. I mean, the rumor is that what's his face from Colorado that they're trying to get him. Yeah, they're trying to get they're trying to get Sanders in Dallas.
I honestly believe that Jerry Jones watched this past playoff game, versus Green Bay, and said, I can't win with this guy. I can't win a championship with this guy. I can't just get rid of him. No, I'm gonna have to do things off the beaten path, and I think that's why they haven't restructured his contract. So now they can blame Dak for being up against the cap. All of a sudden there's all this different things with girls coming out about Dak, and he's in the news. A guy who's been a stand-up guy, who's been a great guy personally.
Yeah.
So, there's no Dak Prescott's a good guy. All of a sudden, all this bad stuff about him's coming out. Why now? Because Jerry Jones is they're putting it out there on purpose. They're trying to blame Dak Prescott. He's their fall guy because they're about to blow that whole thing up. That's what I think.
Yeah, I agree.
And we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. Batman's twin, David Super Chat. He goes, Hurts has been to the Super Bowl and played well. Hurts was the MVP of the Super Bowl. I mean, arguably, if the Eagles win that game, he's the MVP, and he played great. He had that one mishap with the fumble. That was bad. But Hurts played great in the Super Bowl. When I look at Jalen Hurts, I know Jalen Hurts in a clutch situation will perform.
Did he have the most rushing yards in Super Bowl history?
I don't remember, but he might have. Dylan Jordan Davis Super Chat. He goes, Joey's ceiling looks like 100% asbestos. No deep breaths, Joey. What do you mean?
I don't know.
Frank Reynolds says, hey, Philly, any chance you stream any Sixers playoff games? Maybe. If they could actually get out of, where they're at now. If we could get past the draft, because this week's really busy with the draft, but maybe, possibly. The problem I always have with basketball streams is that they always start while I'm still working. And so I can't even get on a stream until the earliest, 5:30 my time. And sometimes they start 4:30. So it just depends. Possibly.
Do baseball, Philly. Do baseball.
Oh my God. Baseball should be the easiest thing to stream. And it's the Phillies totally ruined that for me. Not Phillies, but the Major League Baseball. I mean, I got. How many times do people get copyrighted striked by somebody as big as MLB and then actually win the resolution and win the appeal? I won the appeal because I didn't even show anything from the game.
Right.
Matt Week says Philly, and the crazy things we gifted it to them too. What is that about? What do you mean? I mean, listen, the Eagles weren't. The Eagles had an epic collapse. There's no question about it. But I know that Jalen Hurts can win the big game. He showed me that in pressure situations he can win. I know that that's in him. Dak Prescott, I don't believe that's in him. I don't. He'll put up great regular season numbers, and then he collapses in the playoffs.
Over and over, yeah.
What do you think? What are your thoughts? I mean, we talked a little bit about wide receiver, but what are your thoughts on tight end? Because a lot of people talk about this Bowers kid, and he is a stud. Would you consider a tight end? Would you draft Brock Bowers in the first? How would you feel about it? Would you do it? That's my question.
I wouldn't be against it. I feel like they definitely need, because your defense is going to change next year at cornerback, and I feel like there's just so much more they need on the defense. Between 3 defensive linemen leaving next year, and then your whole cornerback room is going to change next year. It's hard for me to take a tight end that early. I mean, if they did, I wouldn't be upset over it because it's definitely for a need now where they can do 12-man personnel. If they don't want to get another receiver, they feel good with Paris Campbell, and they feel like they could integrate these guys, fine. But what I feel with even Brock Bowers is that you're literally going to get a guy because, Dallas Goedert's 28 years old right now. a couple of years, after he turns 30, his contract is up. And you don't have a tight end 2 right now, but that potentially could be your tight end 1. You have nothing. You have Calcaterra that's hurt almost 100% of the time. And you have Albert that you traded for last year and did absolutely nothing with him. So for me, it's like putting more points on the board. I mean, if you're going to add, then add. I mean, maybe if they get a tight end, they won't go after a receiver too early in the draft. So, then if you get Brock Bowers, I don't think you go after a receiver from the second round. They could go surely just defense in the second round, but or offensive line or both, whatever. But I wouldn't be against it. I wouldn't be, because potentially it is going to be a need. And Dallas Goedert misses 5 games a year. I mean, whether it's his fault or not, it's just what it is. So
no, I agree, and I see the tight end 2 position as a big of a hole as the third wide receiver spot. I see it similar. I honestly feel that if Brock Bowers, if we're drafting, and if the Eagles draft board said that he was the best player available, I'm okay with it. Do it.
I'm fine.
It'd be crazy to have two tight ends like that. I mean, your 12 personnel would be lethal. It'd be scary. And I would be okay with it in that situation. But he'd have to be the best player available on the draft board. And I think he's going to go really early, to be honest with you. I think he's going to go. I heard he might go top 12. So
he might.
We'll see. Let's see. I love Bowers, but we need secondary help so bad. We do need secondary help, but like I said in the first round, you can't worry specifically about need as much as talent in the first round, because what you need this year, next year might be a totally different thing. People say, well, draft this guy. Like drafting a guy just based on the system you run, and then what? In 2 years you get rid of the system and the guy doesn't fit anymore. I think really gotta make sure you get the best player available, in terms of the most talented, most upside. A guy that can really help your team, not just this year, but 4 or 5 years down the road. That's what I think. I don't want to get a guy who just specifically only, I don't want an edge rusher that in a 3-4 can play, but can't play anything else. So if Fangio coaches 1 year and then says, I'm old, I'm going to retire, and you go to a whole new system, now what do you have?
That's the problem. Yeah, I mean, that's the problem with Fangio. Like, he's an old coach right now. He's not going to be a head coach somewhere else, or he's already been down that path before, and it's just like he's not a long-term coach. That's the problem. And I feel like this defense is going to change. It could potentially change. I mean, I'm only giving this scheme this year. I'm done after this year. If this thing falls apart defensively and he's just not the right guy, I'm done with this scheme, and they got to just be more. They have to be more aggressive on defense from now on. Right. So that's it.
Nathan says, "Can we make it the best defensive player available?" I mean, yeah, you could. I honestly think that the way it's going to work out is that it's probably going to be a defender, unless you go offensive line. And I also think if you stay at 22. I think it's going to be about 4 or 5 offensive linemen off the board.
Well,
so I think defense is most likely what it will be.
I mean, think about it though. Is there a first round pick in this draft where you're saying, oh, it's a wasted pick, it's not a need? I think offensive lineman would be a need that could start right now. I mean, Brock Bowers is probably the only one right now that would be he's not going to start, but he's going to be a big weapon for this. I mean, maybe down the line he'll be a starter.
He would contribute right away. Yeah. An edge rusher, question is if you get an edge rusher, he won't start because you're paying Huff and you got Nolan Smith, you got those guys. But he should be a contributor. I don't see how anybody that they take in the first round doesn't contribute right away. Unless you want to say if they draft a corner and then they start Bradbury and Slay, then you have a guy maybe sitting in the back,
True.
Richie FC says 500. How shocked would you be if Jordan Davis is traded? I would be shocked. I would be shocked. However, if the Eagles had make a decision, we're going defensive tackle, then I think you need to trade him because you've already drafted 2 defensive tackles in the first round last 2 years. I don't think it'll happen though. But I do think Jordan Davis, man, it's a big year for Davis. He's got to show us that he can play all year.
Yeah, I think the only thing I've said of the last past week about Jordan Davis is this: if they draft a DT in the first round, 3rd year straight, they do this again. Okay, I don't think he'll get traded. I think potentially he could just play out his contract and just that's it, and then they move on. I think that's the direction they'll probably go. So
probably.
I don't think it's going to be DT. I'll probably be a little surprised that they'll go DT in the first round
I would
again.
Be shocked.
So
I would be shocked. Joe says I'd be excited if they trade up for the sweat kid from Texas. He's going to be good. I think he's good. He's going to drop though, right? Didn't he just get busted? DWI. So he might actually fall. I don't know how far, but it's going to be very interesting to see what they do. Like if the Eagles, if I had to guess and say what do I think the Eagles do, I honestly believe they're going to trade up a few spots and take an offensive lineman. I think they want a guy like Fatan or something. And I think they want an offensive lineman that can play right guard and then eventually go out to right tackle. So you kind of get a guy who plays right away, but you also kind of replace Lane Johnson at the same time. That's what I think they're most likely to do. Least likely is trading back. I don't think they're going to trade back. I do think one of those 2nd round picks they'll trade back. I do think they're going to do that there. I think this, let's say the 53rd. I could see them trading back and getting an extra 3rd round pick, something like that.
Yeah, you're thinking a trade up, or the Eagles give up the 22nd pick in a big, massive trade for a player. That's what we're kind of looking for, or thinking that could happen. So
yeah, the pass rushing position, I'm actually the most nervous about them drafting. Because of the history of success Howie has had, I worry about them drafting a pass rusher early. Although I fully admit they need to do it. They need another guy,
Yeah, true.
Caleb says, "Thank you for brightening my night after the Sixers game." Yeah, no problem, man. I was watching it over here while we were on streaming. It's crazy. So Blaze Day for Super Chat. He goes, Howie plugged the need of this team's enough during free agency to give us freedom to go with any position with the first 3 picks. Don't be shocked wide receiver first. I agree. I agree. And I think that's the position you want to be in, where you could just go best player available. I think you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
And I actually wouldn't be shocked if they went. I'd be a little bit surprised, but I wouldn't be overly surprised if they took a receiver in the first. The only thing that would make me worry about is how long A.J. Brown would be with us for. Because I think that he would probably play another 2 years with us.
Yeah, I think what Joe said was true, because when you have a very busy free agency like that, where if you barely have money and you barely have time to do things, then you feel like you have to go more need in the draft more than best player available. Howie made a lot of moves, and he locked up. We got to remember, guys, locking up Mulata and locking up Dickerson, locking up Devontae Smith. That is a part of our free agency. Technically, he's almost made 20 moves between re-signs and just signings and free agency in general. That's a lot of moves that Howie did. So now it gives you more freedom for him to now be more comfortable to go around and say, this position, not as much. We'll get this one later. We've added on it, but let's go get this instead. So there's just more freedom for him when you're that busy. Free agency, you don't build a team through free agency. Free agency is good for, obviously, depth. It's good for players that you're not going to go into the draft, maybe when you're paying big money to somebody. But Howie has yet again another year has got some cost-effective type players, you know, and it's less than the cap, so it's all that matters.
No, I totally Totally agree. SC Birds fan says people close to Jordan Davis has said he has all the talent, but will only do what's required of him. Hopefully, the work ethic to go the extra mile runs off on him. I hope so, because I mean I think Jordan Davis at times last year. I mean, people want to say, "Oh, he's a bust," but if you look at the first half of the season, I thought he was really good, and I actually thought there were times where I thought, even though he wasn't getting statistics of tackles or sacks, I thought he was completely dominating the offensive line. He was just wreaking havoc. I just think he ran out of gas, you know?
Yeah, I mean, ran out of gas. I mean, as well as other players probably ran out of gas mentally. But you know, we were surprised that Jordan Davis pass rush. We're like, damn, this guy's got a pass rush
Right.
this year. I mean, we weren't even expecting that. We're just, you know, as long as he's being disruptive, now he's going back to his original position at nose. So he could be more of a powerhouse there, and hopefully Fangio does right by him. I mean, that's it.
Yeah. Frank Reynolds says, how does Kelsey lose his Super Bowl ring in a tub of chili? I'd be chili. I don't know. I don't know why he didn't take it off before he did it. It's crazy. You heard that? That's crazy,
Yeah.
man. Somebody's got themselves an Eagles Super Bowl ring. You know, somebody found it. Somebody's going to find it, man. It's crazy. It's going to be interesting. It really is. And we're an hour and 40 minutes in. I mean, I think we've pretty much covered everything, right? I mean, we got a big week ahead of us. What do you got planned for like tomorrow and stuff?
Yeah, it's the video, probably a stream, and I mean, just you know, we're gonna have. Yeah, I mean, we're gonna have. We have a big week this week, and we'll have some surprises for you before. You know, this is the last shakedown before the draft, so we'll be back for three straight days. We'll be streaming, and you know, we'll be ready, man. I'm excited. It's gonna be a fun night.
Matt Corral jerseys on standby, ready to go. Yeah, it's gonna be a fun week. It's gonna be a busy week, really. And I'm really interested in what the Eagles could do, because usually, you know, most drafts you have you know it's one or two moves. It's going to be this or that. This they could go so many different ways in this draft.
Yeah,
it's really interesting.
I've had people like message me and say, you know what the difference is for this year's draft with you and Philly? I said, was like, you guys don't really have a specific player you guys usually aim at every year. I said, no, it's like this.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good players in this draft. It's really hard to hone in on one guy. It's not like that.
Yeah, and that's a credit to Howie, because he did such a great job in free agency that it gives you flexibility, you know. That's why I'm focusing. I just want the Eagles to be true to their draft board, take the best player available, and you know, and then let's kill it. That second day is going to be a real important day for us too. We need to hit. We have 2 second-round picks. We need to hit on those picks, man. To me, I really hope that they spend one of those second-round picks and get one of the top linebackers in this draft. I think they need to, you know.
Yeah, I mean, that's. I think the number one thing I really want is, and I think I agree with you, I think in that one of those second-round picks has to be a linebacker. I mean, it's time, and add another body there. Because, like, really, when you look at it, like, yeah, I think, like, you know, and the Kobe Dean's not even 100% yet. Like, not even – yeah, I mean, he'll be good for camp, but he's been out of the boot for a couple of months, and he's still not 100% yet. And he's got competition in front of him now. Like, Devin White is going to be like someone we're going to be honing in on. It's like a player that's going to stand out in camp and in the season, kind of revive his career a little bit, and could be a big re-sign candidate for the Eagles next year, potentially.
Good. Yeah. So, and he could leave too. He could have a great year and then leave, and then you're going to need another linebacker. So you might as well go out and get a linebacker. I feel like the Eagles are going to go early second linebacker, and that's what I would do. I would even consider trying to get up and get a linebacker, and then I would get my second round pick. I think he's going to be wide receiver and maybe trade back, because I think there's enough wide receivers in this draft and deep enough where you can wait a little bit on it and still get a guy who I think is probably better than Campbell and Devontae Parker. So,
yeah,
gonna be interesting. So, Blaze Davis super chat. He goes, "It's hard to hone in on one guy when we're not in the top 10. Yeah, and usually it's not even just one guy, it's one position. It's like one or two positions, but here's literally 3-4 positions they could go in round one, and I'd be okay with it, you know.
Yeah, from the way we played the last 7 games, you probably should have a top 10 pick.
Yeah.
That's just the truth. Like,
Yeah.
we should have a top 10 pick right now.
I'll tell you this. I'll put this out there. I'll give you my top 3 guys that I want in the first round. All right. 1, Quinyon Mitchell. 2, Fatanu. And then 3, the Flying Frenchman, Cooper DeJean. Those are my top 3 guys. I would love to get one of those guys in this draft.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I'd go Jared Verse. I'd go Cooper DeJean, and probably Fatanu in the first round.
Yeah, Jared Verse would be my number 4, but those are the guys I really like. But you know, there's a lot of good guys that play the same position that they could maybe do just as well. So could go a lot of different ways.
You know, we have to. I know we look at the roster in certain ways. Like I know, the number one thing with our roster right now, like especially because of certain players we got rid of, like Bryce Huff, like. He could have a big year. I mean, we're not saying he's going to be a bad player this year. Like that contract at $17 million a year is going to look really good probably by next year, but he might have double-digit sacks this year. I mean, right. we really don't know. But Brandon Graham said things about Nolan Smith. Like Nolan Smith just has to because a lot of people are saying a lot of bad things about Nolan Smith because he didn't do much last year. He got hurt a couple times, and like they barely played him. They barely even threw him in a game until like the end of the year, really. So, you're putting all your chips in one, all your eggs in one basket with Nolan Smith and Bryce Huff with Reddick being gone. So I wonder if they're going to add more to the defensive line because you have to look to the future too. You have to look towards more. How many players are leaving next year from that defensive line? 3 players are leaving with Sweat, Milton Williams, and Brandon Graham. So you have to look at certain things, not just now, but what it's going to look like next year if it doesn't pan out. So
yeah, absolutely. Frank says, "What channel do you watch or streaming draft? ESPN or NFL Network?" What did we did NFL Network? Did we switch it over or something last year?
Yeah, I think we switched it over because I was on a different channel and you switched the channel I was on. So I'll let you know. Yeah. I don't know what's going on.
I don't know which one we're going to do yet. Probably. I'll guess the NFL Network, but yeah, we'll let you know, to see. But the problem with there's one of them I think it's NFL Network. I think it's ESPN. They always show you the guy who's on the phone before the pick, and then it's like the pick. I hate that. Like I want to know the pick as it's announced.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we'll see. Who knows? But I guess that's pretty much it for the night, right?
I mean, we've had a few almost 2-hour streams this month.
Yeah,
we almost had a few of those this month. But
a lot of gossip stuff has been going on, and a lot of resigning. So, but yeah, man, it's draft week. It's here, and I'm ready for it, man. It's gonna be big week.
I know. Can't wait.
All right, guys. Well, listen, we're going to let you guys go. You guys have a great night. Make sure if you haven't, click the link in the description. If you're on my chat, go sub up Joey Shakes. And then remember, we will be streaming every minute of the draft, and we will be starting early. We got some stuff going on for you guys. So look for that. Should be fun. And with that said, we out of here. Peace.
You have plenty of time.
Come on.
Oh, shit! Dad! No!
It's over! It's over! This game is over! Cut it off! It's over!
Fuck.
Congratulations, Green Bay! Congratulations, Green Bay! Congratulations, Green Bay!
I said run the ball.
Congratulations, Green Bay! Dak Prescott, you need to be fired today! That was on you, Dak! That was on you, Dak! That was on you, Dad!
I said run the ball.
That was on Dak Prescott!
Trying to feed the ball. Trying
to feed the CeeDee Lamb! Trying to feed the CeeDee Lamb! You tried to feed the CeeDee Lamb! You got to give it to CeeDee Lamb! God!
That's crazy.
It's over. It's over, Dak. Put Trey Lance in the game. Trey Lance can't do worse than you.
I'm an idiot because I buy into this shit. I buy into this shit. Because here's the thing. I am a grown-ass man. And I talk the talk. It is killing me.
I feel it coming. I feel like it's going to take Jerry Jones taking. Cut it off. It's over.